Spirituality of all activities is the most secretive as well as sublime activity there is. And through the early years of spirituality, and I'm addressing people who are spiritual, there's a certain sense of slight failure, because as long as the world remains to be the world, you are getting nowhere. You feel the joy, the happiness, the fullness, every subtle gradient of divine presence, and you can share it with people of like mind, and you can walk through walls, literally. And that's okay, but that's not your secret motivation. Your motivation is always to transfer, to give this awareness, this purity, this beauty, this kindness, this evanescence, this truth. It's so sweet and wonderful, and it's transcendent of the whole world. In other words, this world doesn't exist when you're in this condition, and because of humility and kindness and a depth of bearing, you can rarely present the entirety of it. Today we'll present the entirety of it. And we're building a stage here, a grounding area that reminds us, first of all, that yes, we're in a world that seems to be a world, and I'm saying seems to be, we're spiritual. We understand the subtle, it's the same as falling in love, having a new pet. It's just this joy that transcends everything, and you do not have a sense of the world around you, or the material world. That's the whole idea of the Garden of Eden from the Holy Bible. The idea that there are two people. There's bodies and nakedness, and you have all this stuff that comes around that. When there's true love with someone, that disappears, dissipates, it just goes up in a blast with the kindness of true love. In other words, the world doesn't seem physical at all. And in spirituality, it's not physical. Let's try to explain this through the idea, through the understanding that spiritual people feel something so endlessly sublime all day, every day. And it's just wondrous, grand. And all we want to do is live that, give that, to love, to care, to build, to induce others to greater heights spiritually. But the physical world is out there, and it's combative, right? But we have this endless grandeur of divinity, and then the material world. That's been called Maya, the illusion, in Sanskrit, in Hindu, and Buddhism. And it's not that we don't live through it. That's what I'm discussing right now. It is here, but our entire motivation is to lift as many as we can to this sublime place that we live in, literally. So in the beginning, we have a sense of failure because we can't quite get the world to move with us, can we? It's very difficult. It's almost impossible. It stands up against us. It's a very, well, it's an evil force. But it's not to me, because I understand it, and I can live through it, and I can walk through whatever with it, as all truly spiritual people understand what was just stated. In other words, we can wait out, we can outlast any adversary, because we're in forever now. Forever now is. And the point we're moving to now is to say that the mission is to end the whole world, it seems to be. That's what enlightenment truly is. It's not about you as an individual experiencing, sitting under the boat tree and the sky disappears, but the sky will disappear all day with you when you grasp this one fact that you're here to end all of it. And this, to the spiritually minded, is a thrill. It's not, oh, that's impossible. Hell, the world is not a big deal to us. Buildings, time, bodies, places, circumstances, but we take it all in. Like when we do healing, there's no, we might ask them, we can take on pain of friends. And we do all the time. We don't have to be there physically. Being there physically is in the way of our greater goal, which is to transmit this understanding to everyone in the world who's decent, who's kind, who's true, who's real, who's humble, who's aware. And when we're aware of God, it's endlessly more subtle, more purifying than a midnight kiss. Kinder than a kitten. But it's always with you. So the idea of traversing through this world system that seems to be, yes, I'm not taking away from any of the pain of the trauma. I sit with my family, friends going through this or that, and I know by being in this deeper state, we called paramita last week, where the thus gone, it's a place, just a stage beyond this world, and where all the deep thinkers and beings of history, spiritually speaking, reside. It's like a waylay station between here and the actual heaven. At the same time, we're aware of that, and we're in the actual heaven. We can actually see the actual God, but it's 100 trillion infinities more wonderful than we can imagine. All the thoughts of this world go up in a whisper. When we grasp the fact that the world has no power over us. And at that point, the world becomes unbelievably aggressive on all the finenesses of our senses, right? And we see thousands of images and things that keep us a little off track, but they don't keep us off track. And we're staying in the fight, in the fray, because that's what we do in order to teach, to enhance the lives of others, to heal. We're trying to find the right avenue, the right pathway to transmit this understanding, to give this wisdom, this kindness, this experience of the divine to everyone we love. I know the other day someone was going some horrible thing in the East Coast, and this dear friend let me know in a text that she understands what I'm doing. In other words, why I'm not out with my family or this or that or my best friends. I know I can do my best work by not being there physically with everyone and taking place in the physical fight, but it's a spiritual fight. And it's a kind of courage that every parent has. You understand? You're there for that child's success. Imagine how much more our Heavenly Father wants us to succeed in this march back to eternity. God wants us to cross to the other shore. I know I used to sit in the California coastline and no one was there, and revisit my friends in Tibet, but I knew it wasn't a place. I'd have to go there. I'd visualize, and it's like light, golden and white, and I sit on the beach and just feel it. I was there now, there then, I'm there now. Or the ancient deserts of Judea, where, you know, all this started. The Holy Bible and all the religions of the world, 4/5 anyway. There's something in there, the essence of it. And in that holy book, the idea that I'm discussing about enlightenment being the end of all this, all the imagery, it's just imagery to me, including the physical, as close to the bone as it gets. You can reside in a place of courage beyond the whole world and take all the imagery away and let everyone see Him, the only God, and you, His very best friend. Where we're not our bodies or our problems or the solution to our problems. We're made of light and air and kindness and a purity that's unimaginable. It's called spirituality, God consciousness. The beatific vision of Aldous Huxley. Most of all, it's called you. It really is you, and you let go of all the imagery of the world coming at you through this little force called Satan. That it's, when you understand that it's an actual lost figment of a trillionth of the size of a smallest atomic particle. When you understand that, you will feel this. These aren't just words. These are the experience of all truly spiritual people. There's an endless, beauteous calm and purity in the air, and through it you can see all the different stages of illumination, the places where the illumined are. You can see that there is no death, like Chief Seattle said. That I always loved him for different reasons, and he's the one that said, "I will fight no more forever." And even though he was a great warrior in chief, because of the circumstance, there was no need, no necessity to fight physically anymore, because the damage had been done to all parties. But one of the things he said was, there is no death, only a change of worlds. And all of us have these thoughts and senses throughout our life, don't we? Here and there we see it for a moment. What I'm saying, your life, if you're spiritual, this is it. There's no more. It's the last stage out of town, and you're taking it. You got the reins in your hand, and all the valuables are behind you, all the good townspeople. There's a new sheriff in town. It's you. If you want this gift of absolute power over the entire world, it becomes you. It's more pure than love, kinder than kindness, taller than any tree. And it can't be thought or seen or understood. It can only be touched with the human heart. There's a purity. That is the real you. We can call it the soul, the enlightenment, all these, but it's the real you. You are a presence. You're not in a world or of a world. You're not lost or found. There just simply is. You're God's presence. All spiritual people know exactly what was just said. So the idea that we're going to ride through this very dry land and repopulate it with a palm tree, and you'll flourish as the palm tree. You are the starlight of eternity. You're not other than that. No matter, we have images of past lives and this and that and the other, and we all know in the deepest part of our heart, if we're spiritual, that tomorrow will never leave a secret in the book of eternity. We're here for a reason. We all reside, these words are so real to us that are spiritual, right? No more grief, no more sorrow, no more pain, no more tears. This is your time. This is why you were born, and you know this. So as spiritual beings, we're not going to allow that little sense of failure anymore. We don't need anyone in the world to help us. From this moment on, God will be with you. Every moment, as has been, but more than ever. And we're going to let go of all the imagery, every sense of success or failure. We're just going to reside in the quiet. You are the quiet, the purity. You are the pure land, the pure light, the kind one. You are God's presence. Again, it's so endlessly pure, and you'll be able to see through all the different gradients of it. I can think of God himself, which I can't even look at, but from time to time it's there. So no matter how humble we are, which is our biggest problem, isn't it? We can't really speak this freely to people, can we? I've trained myself to be able to listen to people by being present with them. Again, you are a spiritual teacher. That's your mission, not something else. Spiritual instrument, whatever word you're going to use. A facilitator of the divine, however you want to see it, but the first problem is humility. We're so humble that it's tragic, isn't it? And so it's hard to get this out. The reason is people do not listen. But when you meet a considerate person, a spiritual person, a highly intelligent person, I have great conversation with people that are intelligent and professional, and I never let them know what I think or feel about anything, but I can be completely present with them and not react, and they don't feel there's a battle. My wording is correct, so I can be there with a person like that. And I can be there with an idiot or a moron or drug addict in a different, slightly different way. You see what I'm saying? By not reacting to it at all. And this is the front line of our spirituality, because we're here to teach, to lift. So we have to be able to handle every circumstance in our daily spiritual, business life, family life. And our true family is God. And it's a family of light. All of our friends are made of light. You are a divine presence. You are your subtle body, your etheric double, your light body. All these words. But number one, you're a teacher. You're born to transmit this awareness, this absolute truth. And you don't have to think about it or write or whatever you want to do to get your mission statement down, but the point of this empowerment is God will be with us every moment from here on in. So whatever doors need to be opened, whatever words need to come to you, whatever sense, whatever amount of love or kindness or courage or intelligence, on whatever level, it will happen in your life. It could be through this or that circumstances or something online or a book or a person or an image, or the devil will come at you and go, oh, that's true, and you'll in the next moment something wonderful happens, and it gets very, very subtle. I always equate it to great art. If you ever see, I used to go up to the museum in the city, and the De Young Museum, and look at great art. In Philadelphia, I grew up there. I'd run up the side of the steps. 10 years before Rocky, I'd do that run through the city and go up on the side. There was a statue, 4 statues of Rodin called Social Consciousness. And it was the great mother and holding up all the tragedy of the world, and I would look at it for a half an hour. I couldn't move. When you see great art, you see God, because you'll see through all the madness, and you can see the joining force, which is beauty and understanding and compassion and wisdom. It's a sense. It's not even an emotion. Spiritual emotions are so refined. You are so refined. God will be with us every moment of this. The last tragedy. You're here for the last event, the last day. It'll all fold in to nothing as soon as you can look at it squarely in the eye, and you just look through it, and it'll always yield. Satan fears one righteous person more than 1,000 blind believers. You understand? This isn't religious context. This is true spirituality. Not taking anything away from religious faith, which is a stepstone to the stained glass light inside the church, to the sun outside. I know when I was a young boy studying Hebrew, and there was a church across the street, and I looked through the stained glass window and see the image of Jesus in prayer before his death, and you see the light from God coming down, and I felt that all my life, and I'm trying to let you know that you're God's light, not less, and the world will be unimaginably subtle and screwing you up. Circumstances and officials and papers, and money and love, and when you get very quiet and look through it all, you'll know, as I know now, you will never die. And there won't be a change of worlds. This world will yield to the breath of light in your heart, through simply believing in one God that believes in us. God will carry us through. the last time, this time around, you'll fulfill the greatest of all destinies. You are his light. You are his voice, his instrument. This will all come to you. You don't need to go anywhere, do anything like I say it. It'll happen in 1,000 ways every day of your life. In consciousness and experience, everything will relate to everything else. God actually and truly is God. I mean, every millisecond, God sees 1,000 more milliseconds within it. And you're going to see this. It's just tremendous to be you now and end the tragedy. You will feel the pain of everyone in the world. You'll understand it all. You don't have to leave your easy chair. And you can work all day. You can go out there in the vineyard and do whatever you're going to do, and you'll still be aware of all of it. And you can't really tell anyone because the big problem we have is humility. So you'll find ways beyond the humility to reach out and lift those who will be lifted, and learn to never fear again. You are a fearless warrior. You'll feel because you take everything on. When I have friends around me, they have different circumstances in a business or something, and they don't know they're all being tempted of the same Satan in subtle ways to fight each other. There's no fight. What did Chief Seattle say? I will fight no more forever. So he knew to sit simply quiet was the wisest way to allow the drama to play out. But that's because he sat in his heart. On the other side, you're going to bring the other side here. That I know. You will bring the other side here. The tragedy will be gone. That's your destiny. We are loved more than we can know because it's a purity of love that's the actual divine. So you're a teacher. And the harvest is ripe. Throw in your sickle. It's your time. You will change within yourself every moment. And you'll live beyond all the tragedy of the world. Your courage is so subtle. It's a whisper. And all spiritual people know what was just said. Thank you for listening to this. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Escolta.